My name is Keith. I am a 40-year veteran of the Canadian Forces. Started out in the reserves, went to the regular military, came out of the regular military after I had a medical condition that limited my service, and I went to the cadet program for the last 10 years in uniform. My relationship with Rehab and Performance, and specifically yourself as the chief executive officer, was in the aspect that I knew I had a surgical procedure coming up, and it was one of those things I talked to my case manager at Veterans Affairs and said, this is what's going on with me. Is there anything out there? And that was my very first introduction with Rehab and Performance. And then promptly came into the program, started working with you and your staff on a 12-week program. Got about halfway through, and I had a surgery date in September of 2019, which required a complete hip replacement on my left side. And it was very short after that my surgeon gave me the thumbs up to do something a little bit more progressive as compared to normal physiotherapy. And I came back into the fold with an extension granted by Veterans Affairs to carry on with my program. I'm a recent graduate of your program, and as you can probably, it's kind of hard to get a full meal deal, but yeah, I was an active guy, and having the benefit of Rehab and Performance, I can't speak enough about your program. It's a phenomenal venue that I think more people should be apprised of and be made aware of, whether they've got an existing physical condition or a mental, because the one component for your listeners and followers is just that, is that you have taken a really unique approach to not only physical health, but your staff is very attuned to some of the challenges veterans can face who are having mental issues. And so it's a very unique place, very safe place, very trustworthy. And again, you get out of it what you put into it. And I'm an absolute fan of Rehab and Performance.
I really appreciate those words. And it was fantastic working with you, and it still is fun. You know, like I'm really looking forward to actually having this call and catching up. You and I, you know, obviously we have some good banter back and forward. I'm still remembering the lemon pie I took to the face. We'll get to that later. Crazy times right now. COVID-19. You know, we spent the majority of our times working with veterans, getting them to get out of their house, to socialize, to be active, and now all of a sudden we've got, you know, enforced self-isolation and social distancing. That's outside of our control, and there's going to be some impacts, mental and physical, on veterans during this time. You know, what are your thoughts about, you know, what have you been hearing? What do you feel personally? What are your thoughts about this enforced self-isolation time?
It's interesting because, again, there is no cookie cutter definition of how each veteran is going to anticipate or be able to contend with this. I know there are, from one end of the spectrum, guys who are always self-isolating because they have issues with trust and they have issues with crowds. But then there's the others that, you know, I'm a very social person. I wrap myself in my humor, and I try and be there in the moment with the people that I deal with. So those are the two broad ends. But what I've found in this very short period while we've been contending with the virus is communication. And I'm really surprised, even at the stores now here in North Cowichan, where I reside, they've got directional arrows down every aisle to try and limit the amount of folks interacting, lineups and queues outside of stores before you can get in. And the thing I've noticed is that people are being nicer to each other. And I think that's a lot for a veteran who may be, you know, customarily to curl up in a ball and hide in a dark room. It may be very rewarding for them now to just do those simple things like going out for groceries because of the way people are approaching this. I know there was an adage, I've got my grandchildren staying with me right now, which is great because, again, they're in a isolated location. But I noticed in the group setting, like, they will be out for a walk, not gathering, but in a social setting, and they'll see other children. And it's amazing how the kids, you can see that we as human beings are social creatures for the most part, and it's people are missing that social connection, and it's really important for guys and gals who are veterans to realize that that's how they're wired. Whether their mind is telling them to distance and shut her down, no, they've got to have some type of human connection. But what I'm finding with veterans is because there's a huge trust issue. Like, I belong to only one true military site on social media, and that's the Airborne Regiment site. And I'm amazed at how many guys are coming out of the woodwork now that I haven't heard from in so long, because it's that social connection. And I can't overstate that enough. You know, however your cookie cutter works for you, guys and gals have to realize they have to be in touch with people, because otherwise you potentially are going to go down a dark path, which will lead to poor choices. And it doesn't matter if it's substance abuse or suicidal ideology. It's really important for folks to stay connected, especially during this time.
And I mean, during this time, we're very fortunate to have tools like Zoom that we're on right now. You know, it's a fantastic platform. You can have 8, 10, 50 people on here if you want. I know about people like doing coffee dates with their friends that they normally would go and do, and you've got all 8 on the one call. You know, it's kind of ironic that we're being asked to self-isolate, but we have the ability to be more connected than ever. You know,
True.
And the importance of just being able to like, hey, let's have a video call and let's just like chat for a little bit. You know, that can just leave somebody on like a real high afterwards, just having that connection. So
Exactly.
I think it's super valid, and more so than ever before now. It's so important that we're reaching out to our individual networks, our individual communities, and just being like, hey, how are you doing right now? Do you need to have a chat? Is there anything you want to talk about? Like, it doesn't have to be anything, but just making sure that we're doing that, because we've got nothing but time for a long time.
Yep. And to dovetail onto that as well, I noticed one recently, and I copied and pasted some of the things that I've seen on social media in the past. I've never been a real big fan of, but this one was kind of cool. It was basically, it's a buddy check that's in social media, and I sent it out. And again, whoever is my friend, I was absolutely pleased with the responses that I was getting, both family and friends, just saying, yeah, I'm okay. And that's kind of cool, because again, I speak from my own life. My mom and her partner just came back from New Zealand, and they have to self-isolate. They're older folks, and it was one of those things that I was very quick to reach out to them and say, hey, how you doing? Is everything cool? And, you know, even the simple advances to technology, they weren't quite sure how they were going to deal with coming back to a house with no food. And I said, well, hey, don't forget that some retail outlets like Thrifties have an online ordering system. And it was so well received. And it's a simple thing, but the value is there, is what I guess what it comes back to.
Yeah, I mean, we're set up better than we ever have been in our entire lives or entire history to be able to self-isolate. We can get things delivered to our doorstep. We can connect all over the world. And that buddy check, I haven't heard of that, but that's fantastic. I think we might utilize that. Because again, you know, there's going to be someone that you're going to miss asking. You know, you're going to forget somebody, and that's probably the person that's going to be the person keeping quiet and not actually letting you know that they need help, that, you know, that they're going through a hard time.
I think the other one that's worthy of comment on, in specific to veterans, I have a friend of mine who has transitioned out of the military, and he's working in a medical warehouse facility, and so is essential service. And he's one of those guys, like he never caught on to the tablet, the cell phone. I think, as a matter of fact, he's still got a Motorola Razr is his cell phone. Wow. So. Wow, exactly.
I barely remember when that was the thing.
But going back to that, it's important that we have to realize our target audience. And there are times where, when I talk about my mom, or I talk about this fellow that's working in the medical warehousing, you have to appreciate their level of technology understanding. And sometimes you have to bring yourself down to their level to make that happen, that connection happen. And that's important to, just as an underpinning, because I won't lie to you, this here, when something goes wrong with it, I turn to my children, dad out with this bad boy.
Yeah. And that's a good point. I mean, you know, for some people, they're only just mastering text, and that's still a thing. You know, my dad has a company in England, where obviously I'm from, and they had to close down the same as most companies, and they're trying to go virtual. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to teach my team how to use Zoom. And I'm like, Dad, you don't even know how to use WhatsApp. Like, it takes us like 15 minutes to get a video call, and usually it's looking at his forehead or something. And I'm like, or a video, it's on video and he's holding it like this. I can just see inside his ear. I'm like, so for that, on Monday, I'm jumping on a call with his entire company and I'm giving them a crash course in Zoom, so how they can actually use it, because it'd be like the blind leading the blind. So,
you know, if nothing else, and this is where that commiserating sometimes can be really, really healthy. You're not the only one.
yeah.
Again, I had several conversations from New Zealand through WhatsApp, and I was getting the frame. I'm not exaggerating. This is what I was looking at. And so, dude, hey, you're not alone.
You get that. Well, can you see me? And we're like, no. And they're like, well, it's okay, I can see you. I'm like, that's not how this works. Just move over a little bit.
Well, and going from the humorous bit and back on topic, communication. And the one thing that I really enjoyed the experience with Rehab and Performance was the aspect of service dogs. And in this time, I'm saying, okay, not everyone out there needs a service dog, but one of the things that I found very redeeming right now and is it works into activity as well as mental health, is hanging out with my dogs. They are such a fabulous method of re-energizing yourself and literally feeling that connection with another being. You know, it's huge. It's absolutely so beneficial.
100%. And you know, I've heard that a lot. I mean, you know, at the center, we could have sometimes 4 or 5 dogs in there at one point. And my staff are super stoked because there's puppies. I'm like, great.
There are a couple of your staff that lose all credibility as soon as a dog shows up.
Just like, oh, 1 second, Keith. There's a puppy here. We'll get to you in a second.
Well, and for us as well, right? Because there's nothing like trying to do some floor work and suddenly have this snout, right? Hey, what are you doing? It's very cool.
It's the best, and that, yeah, I really enjoy that part of it. And seeing, you know, I'm jealous because, again, I'm one of those people that has to self-isolate right now. I'm on day 12 of 14 because I got back off of vacation too late, and you know, like I haven't had interaction with a solitary being for 12, you know, in person for 12 days. What I would do to have a dog right now, it would be a game changer. So the first thing I'm going to do when I get out or have the ability to go out is I'm going to go and take a friend's dog for a walk, I think, and go and do a hike, something.
And being the entrepreneur that you are, I'm going to put a soundbite out there and see if it gains any traction.
Okay.
Think about it now. They've got care animals that go into hospitals and stuff.
Yeah.
You could almost make this a business. You could bring a dog to someone's apartment, put the leash on their doorknob, and step back 6 feet, and that person can get pet time, and it could be a business. Ta-da!
You don't need me, bud. You should go and do this. The first thing that we need to do is we need to get a bunch of dogs, like rent a dog, hire a dog.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Hey, who would have thought that you could rent VHS tapes back in the day? I know that's way before your time.
You remember VHS? Short play and long play. If you wanted to like record it, make a 3-hour video into a 6-hour video. Does anybody under the age of 24 right now watching this video? We just lost them.
Yeah, exactly. But being back on topic and the dovetail off of, and I know there's some vets out there that really don't prescribe to any type of physical fitness routine, but if you've got a pet that, you know, primarily a dog that likes to play, well, that's physical activity. You get down on all fours with a squeaky toy with Fido. Yeah, something tells me you're going to get your heart rate up a little bit, and it's going to be good for you.
I can't speak enough about the value of just being able to get down onto the ground and get back up again regularly. Like there's something you know, quite amazing toll on the body to just be able to get up and down off the ground. It's one of the hardest things that the human body can do, and that's why we do things like Turkish get-ups and stuff in our programming. And so to be able just to get down, play with Fido, and get back up. What are you laughing at?
The only reason why I'm laughing is that I had a family member at the very onset was really frustrated that they couldn't go to their gym anymore. And so she posted on social media saying, hey, anyone have a really good workout? And it was like, oh, really? So
Hold
all
my
of,
beer.
all of the stuff that I picked up from your shop, I, of course, had images on my phone.
Yeah.
And then I sent her a bunch of the warm-up ones. And I said, oh, and by the way, this is a great combination of a lot of the positions you're seeing on the pages. Try doing a Turkish get-up. And the response was staggering. She goes, a what?
Yeah.
And I said, just Google it. Just Google it. And, you know, I've done that now a couple times. I've got my daughter's here as well. We talked about Turkish get-ups this morning, and she went, that's nuts. And I said, yeah, but it's so good for you.
Yeah. And you don't need weights. Have you seen my video with balancing the glass of water?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Jump on my Instagram. It's on there. It's the whole thing, balancing a cup of water on your fist. You don't need weight. That's the hardest thing that you'll ever be able to do.
Well, and you know, it was the same as that stupid transitional one that we used to do. I like that one. Like I do it here at the house, where you take the exercise ball and compress it against a surface while moving a sponge block from one side to the other to the center of your back without losing your posture. Thank you very much, Rehab and Performance, for that little torture.
I'm just going to crop that part of this video and put that up as a testimonial. Thank you, Rehab and Performance, for that bit of torture.
Yeah.
And you know, just to link all of those things that we spoken about just then, in terms of communication, how easy it is to communicate now, technology, and the importance of movement, right? And you know, gyms and everything being closed. You know, my team has been working around the clock, as I'm sure you would imagine we would have, to take everything virtual. So we've been filming absolutely everything. I'm currently doing voiceovers. If you want to know what my sound recording studio is, I got a top tip from a videographer in town. I write my script, I record the video, write the script, I go into my bedroom. Underneath the duvet, I've got my flashlight on my phone, I've got my script, and I do my voiceovers under the duvet because it deadens out all of the background noise. That is literally my life right now in isolation. It might be it might be brilliant, or I might just be glitching a little bit because it's been 12 days.
The takeaway, and you know what they say, we are the sum of all the interaction in our lives. And just based off of that one little tale that you've offered, I am going to give you one from my father-in-law.
Okay.
You're aware of the famous phrase, mother of invention?
Yes.
Or necessity. What a mother. Because
I tell you what, if somebody could be a fly on the wall watching me, I look such an idiot, just going in there under the duvets, doing a voiceover, getting it wrong. Crap. Just like back out of the duvet, gasping for air. It's funny, but yeah, we are making that, like, we're going to be getting a lot of programming online, and then we're going to be able to get that out to the whole veteran community, whoever wants it, to be able to access. And it's going to be, you know, the experiences that you went through on a day-to-day basis, the check-in questions, the self-assessment, the movement screens. We're getting that all online with instructions. You give yourself your own. It gives you a score based upon, you know, you self-assess, and based upon that score, it's going to tell you what exercises you're able to do, what intensities you're able to do, with a whole video library of, again, my wonderful accent explaining to you how to do it.
Well, okay. I like the premise. Yeah, but the narrator, he's a bit of a git. I don't know if you want to go that road.
Hey, it's calm, soothing English tones. That's what the program's called.
Yeah. I think I can get you the contact information for Dave Allen. He might be a better guy to have out there, is that Irish voice, or Connolly.
We'll go with that. You said you had a couple of points that you really wanted to kind of drive home today, and I think right now is a good time to kind of throw those out there.
Well, and this is the one that, and I just the other day after we talked, and I think it's worthy of comment and reaffirming to those out there. The military environment and first responders is such a structured environment where you have to be able to conform, be a leader, be a follower, but it's really important for guys that are now veterans for self-reflection. you are a special individual, because not everybody can join the military, join the police, join the fire department. And sometimes when you're sitting isolated and having a poor me moment, it's really important for you to remember you're a special kind of person, because not everybody can do it. And just by virtue of the job, think about it. It's like, okay, bloggity, 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 we're talking about this attack. Everyone's allowed their thought process. All right, about turn, guys, charge over the hill, and we're going to go take the objective. Not everyone can do that. And it's really important for folks that during this time when you really don't get the stimuli maybe socially, to reflect on who you are, because you are a special person as a veteran. You are.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Knowing the signs. If you are starting to go to a dark place, you have to recognize those signs, because as we all know, especially with mental health, the last person to know that you're broken is usually you. Someone's got to point it out to you, and that's a challenge when we're not allowed to socially interact the way we were prior to the pandemic. So those are the two big ones, because I already talked about exercise and communication and the value of having interaction with your pets, but the reflection and recognition, those are two really important factors.
Couldn't agree more. What we build into our sessions, and sorry to bring it back to that, but into the sessions, in a way, the snapshot of our 1.5 hours with you that we do every day is a great kind of framework for this entire period that we're going through. You come in and you have check-in questions. You self-assess. Mm-hmm. Based upon those things, you are proactive in exercising, working out, developing your program the way that based off the criteria and the information that you've got. And then at the end, we get you to reflect and to look back on it and to be like, was that the right thing for me? How did I feel about that? How do I feel now? And in this time of uncertainty where we don't know day to day how this is going to go, we don't know if it's going to be 3 months, 6 months. We don't know if we're going to have curfews, we've got to stay indoors, if we're allowed to go out. So we don't know anything really right now. All we can do is just guess. At this time, more so than ever, being able to self-assess, ask for help, and reflect on where you are right now, and be proactive in prioritizing your own mental, physical health, which are completely intertwined. If you affect one, you will have a positive effect on the other. Prioritizing that right now is more important than it's ever been.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, my take on things, and you've heard this from me before. When you drink the Kool-Aid, you get it, because there is absolute value to everything that And they say that the definition of intelligence or genius is where like-minded people talk the same talk. And I can attest to that. I am a graduate. There's times where I regret that my time is over at Rehab and Performance. I really do. But yeah, it's empowering.
Yeah, no, it's. I think you've made some really, really fantastic points today. If there's any veterans watching right now, I mean, if anybody's watching, because this is applicable for everybody, but at the same time for veterans, for military personnel, for first responders, at this point, if you need to talk to people, like, please just ask and reach out. Like, at this point, we've got nothing but time. Everybody's just got time on their hands. This is the time to get more connected than ever. Because you're on a phone call, you've got nothing but talking to do. You can't go out and distract yourself by in a social setting. Right now, you have the ability and the opportunity to develop way more of a connection, way more of an understanding of someone, and to actually be a support system. And I said this on a previous call that I had for the veteran community. I've been immersed in this now for 18 months. Still, obviously, relatively new to that community. But the one thing that always has just shone through is how much you guys support each other without question. You guys are brothers and sisters. You are family. And right now, if there's anybody out there who is struggling during this time or has concerns or sees some of those early onset, please, please, please reach out to any of your brothers or sisters, reach out to me and my team. We'll absolutely take your call and have a chat and see what we can do. But just make sure that you are talking to someone and staying connected during this time.
Agreed. And you mentioned one aspect. I just want to offer it up there because it just came to me. This type of communication with a visual, some people can really have you convinced that everything is calm, cool, and collected in their world when it's only by voice.
Yeah.
Our physical tells are really important to give a general overall assessment of someone's mental status. If you can see them and you know that they're not twitching out, or it's important. It's important. I just offered.
100%. I really appreciate you jumping on this call today, Keith. I think great points, great topics. Hopefully this has been really helpful for those watching. And yeah, I look forward to getting you back for that pie in the face.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Stephen.